Hello, everyone. Good day to you. Thanks for joining me for this introduction to Confluence webinar. My name is Tony Hartsfield, and I am a consultant at Valiantus, and we are a Platinum Solutions partner with Atlassian. I'll get into the shameless self-promotion a little bit later. This next hour or so, we're going to be taking a look at the capabilities of Confluence, the structure of the tool, how it can edit your content. We'll have some examples of how it can be used as a reporting tool, whether it's IT or non-IT, how it can be used as a content portal for your departments or groups, teams, whatever. And then we'll take a deeper dive in some of the features, how you can edit content, how you can manage content. We'll also look at some of the new features that come with cloud. And so by way of introduction, I am presenting to you Confluence Cloud and Confluence Cloud at premium licensing. And so that actually includes a couple of other features that are not in the standard license, and they're not part of data center features at all. So there's a couple really interesting, great tools, though, to help you really begin to utilize your Confluence Cloud instance for great interaction with your community. And as we begin to see all these tools and how extensible this tool is, we'll also need to talk about a little bit about governance. We're not going to go into a full level. We actually have our own webinar on governance. We even have a full day boot camp that we can schedule with your organization on how you can govern all of your Atlassian tools and how it fits in with your ecosphere of your company. I do want to leave a little bit of time at the end of our time together in case you have questions, and we can go through those. In fact, right now there is a Q&A mode in this Zoom meeting, and if you would care to, you can enter your questions there, and I'll begin to review them at the end of the session. Okay. So first off, if we're dealing with Confluence, what is it first of all? Confluence is an Atlassian tool that coordinates with other Atlassian tools. It is a wiki-style editing tool that can be used for documenting a lot of processes, your reporting as well. It's really designed to be the place where the content can be disseminated to your people. It's a great knowledge sharing content portal. It's a great reporting tool for your projects and other areas. And for those of you that also use Jira Service Management with your instance, this is Confluence is where your knowledge base is hosted for articles when your customers go into your help portal and start to make a request on the help portal. These knowledge-based articles can surface based upon the type of request they're making, and maybe potentially do a request avoidance ticket so that they don't have to, they can resolve their issues before even finishing a ticket. So great tools for doing all of those things. And because it works seamlessly with other Jira products, it really is the tool designed for Atlassian use in your instance. What you're going to see in Confluence as I begin to expose some of these features, it's very customizable. It's very extensible. And so it suits a variety of uses from IT to non-IT to even different types of industries, how they can potentially be using Confluence, how it displays in their organization's use. And because of it, it is so flexible. We're going to show you a couple of instances of how it can be used for reporting. It really could be the place where most of your community is going to engage with the information about your projects within your company. As we a couple of quick pictures here as we talk about this, and that one is what it's designed to do. What Confluence is designed to do is that prior to having a tool like this, the question becomes, where do your people get their information? I'm looking for this policy. Well, did you go to the intranet page and get this? Who do I contact about this? Well, did you read the email that we sent you 4 months ago? Where can I find, well, it's in our document repository. Why aren't you going to all these places? Now, all these things still exist in your organization, but what Confluence is designed to do is that your people come to a central location for this information. And then that information then is either in the Confluence instance or it is linked to the Confluence instance. And so you people may be accessing information, but by going to a single source, which makes everything more centralized, standardized, and hopefully more efficient within the use of your practice. So having said that, then the question might be then if that's what it's designed to do, then who should be in your Confluence instance? And that actually can be a variety of things. Um, First off, when we talk about governance a little bit later in our time, we actually think, well, how you're going to use Confluence should be in its own space. By the way, some terminology. If you're used to Jira, Jira has a container called projects, which is the work that you're working on. And then inside of a project, I'm sorry, the project is your team of workers. And then inside the project are issues, which is the actual elements of work that you work on. Well, a similar idea of a container and elements inside of it. In Confluence, you have what are called spaces. And those spaces then contain pages and a few other things you're going to see as I talk about premium and cloud instance features to show. But who should be using this then? Well, your governance team telling the rest of your organization how Confluence should be used. In cloud, everyone automatically gets a personal space, which you can use for your own personal notes, for items that are not ready to be moved into a public site or space, or just for your own space at all. We've seen some organizations that use personal spaces as far as from the social aspect, from interacting with other people in their organizations, and they can do that as well. It could be the project itself. It could be your IT software development project. It could be the team that works on multiple IT projects, or it could be a single space that does both of those. And I'll show you an example of one of those. It could also be the department. And this is where we're seeing some exciting uses of Confluence outside of the defaults. Like, well, the thought was, well, this isn't just IT. Maybe my accounting department is interested, my HR department, my library, recruiting, marketing. They can use Confluence as well, along with even connecting to their Jira instance to not only get their work done, but get reporting done and get information to the stakeholders that need to know what's going on. So, having said all that, then a variety of uses, and the answer is yes, they all fit, depending upon what your use case is in your organization. So let's talk about then what it can do. If that's what it is, let's talk about the capabilities. Remember, it's a wiki style editing tool. And so I'm actually in a Confluence space now, and I'm in published mode, but I'm going to go and open this up into edit mode to kind of show you the back end of this so that you can see not only the results, but how this was created and modified. And so in published mode, you're seeing some basic text functionality. Let me go ahead and open into edit mode on here and just show you, you've probably worked in other wiki editing type tools before. And so some of these things are not necessarily new to you, but you have the ability of text using uh, uh, a variety of things like headings, text formatting, color, bold, underline, etc. It uses bulleted items. It uses numbered items. Um, so that part is pretty standard as you look across this formatting toolbar. As I move down a little bit, you're noticing now, not only do you have the ability to affect the text that you're creating, but you also then can start to play with the layout of where text is placed on your pages itself. There's something called the layout tool, and it creates what are called sections. And so a default section is a single column section that's across your page. But you can have several different types of sections, 2 column, 3 column, a right sidebar, a left sidebar, or two. And that's what this is using here. So I have this right sidebar option here. Again, continue to write with text, but I can manage then not only the content, but the layout of the content. And we'll see others examples of this when we get down to the bottom of our page here. All this is going to be placed together into what is a typical page that we use with our clients. Valiantis uses, when we have an engagement with our clients, we'll set up a page that'll show you that uses kind of all these pieces put together. What else do I have on my toolbar? Well, I have something called action items, and action items are currently based in Confluence, where you can, in your meeting notes, you're deciding what the action item is going to be for the next meeting, or what the next action items are. In those action items, you can mention another person in the Confluence instance, and that person will receive a notification. You can also use dates. And if you mention someone, that shows up in their personal login account information about action items they have assigned. And I'll just tell you this. As I talk about new features, automation just got turned on for the idea that you can convert an action item on a Confluence page into a Jira issue on your Jira issue project using Jira Confluence automation, which, again, sneak peek, I'll show you that a little bit as well. Here is, in this layout, then another tool, the table tool, which does a basic table that you have options of working with. But what the table also can feature is to convert this data from this straight table into a couple of different chart options. Here's a bar chart. Here is a pie chart, using the exact same ones. You can also import information into your tables as well, and it will paste pretty seamlessly into that. And so, great tool for that. Working with those, you can add things like emoji. And this one looks a little silly because people have been playing with this. But the point here is that it works in something called simultaneous editing. Now, the reality is, like other tools that you may have access to, if the file or if the page is in a shared location, and if your people have editing capabilities within that, well, then it permits having multiple editors at the same time, simultaneous editing. And here's where we're seeing from previous examples, people come in here and make changes to things, made bold, added some new items, added, emoji to this. And so while this is a silly example, give you an example of how we use it sometimes with our client engagements. We'll have a couple of consultants working with a client, and we'll have our weekly sync meeting with the client. Well, we'll have a meeting notes page, and we always create the meeting notes page in Confluence. And both of us on the Valiantis side will be in the meeting notes page editing, so that one person could be leading the next bullet point while the other one is taking notes, and then switch back and forth. Or the whole purpose of being in there is different. Maybe one is looking for action items, one is looking to take note of reactions from meeting attendees. And so that we might be editing in completely different areas of the same page. So great tool for doing that as far as that works. You're also seeing this yellow highlight here, and that is actually a comment. And commenting is a great tool for ongoing editing, suggesting for iterations, having a dialogue with your people about how this page is being developed. And it's just simply a matter of selecting text and then hovering over and choosing comment. And then once you have the comment, you can highlight, mention someone else because you want their attention. Lots of features like that's in there. A great way to create interactivity with your pages from there. I'll show you the other area of comments after I get out of the edit mode of this page. There's another comment area at the bottom of this page that you can also do. In Cloud, you can comment while you're in edit mode, or while you're in published mode, which is a feature that Data Center no longer has. Data Center, you're only in published mode when you're commenting. So it's really nice to be able to make your comments while in edit mode, see the comments in edit mode, and then resolve if you need to, all without having to exit the page into published mode to work with. Again, I'll show you a more fully featured comment tool when I'm back out of this page itself. Another feature that's available, linking. I will tell you, I believe that Cloud Cloud Confluence is superior in how they do linking. They really do a nice job. And that it not only is simply copying and pasting a link, but once you do that in your page, you have several ways of how you want that to be displayed. There is the ability to, when you copy and paste, you have the ability to not only see just the URL, you have what's simply called a card. Click on this and show you what my options are. So there's the URL, there's what's called inline, and inline is this name, the card, and then depending upon the type of link that it is, here is a shared document that's not in Confluence. It's in our office's Google folder. We use G Drive quite a bit, and this particular one has not only the URL, the inline, the card, but it also has something called embed, where you can actually display the contents of a page onto your Confluence page. And if you have edit rights, you can also edit this document even while you're in the process of this. So very, very powerful way of managing these links, which is also speaks to a principle of governance that I'll kind of hint at right now. And that is, if the content lives outside of your Confluence instance, then put a link to it rather than attaching it to your Confluence instance. Really reduces the possibility of legacy information being on your Confluence space. But just a great tool, very powerful to manage that as well. It also manages media in that way as well. It automatically embeds media so that this video that is from our YouTube channel can also be displayed. Maybe you've got a learning management system and your video content you want to display on a Confluence page. If you're a Microsoft shop, you have Microsoft Stream. You have your stream videos, or obviously you can also link to other YouTube videos as well that might be useful in the display of information on your Confluence page. It just really does a really nice job of doing that. And so it has then, the same is true for internal pages. You can reference the internal page, the URL. This is the card here. And then you can even, again, display. We'll talk about embedding in a little bit as well for even these pages. There's a macro that does that. And there's another new feature I'll show you that can also play an entire other one. Well, let me pause. Let me go ahead and do that anyway, because there's another way to manage links, and that is here on this link here. When I get out of the page of editing mode, I'll show you this, what's called a smart link, which can dedicate an entire page of your space to a link of information that could be internally or could be external. And so I'll show you that as well. Attachments. So if these are the URLs, and if the governing idea could be try not to make copies of things as much as possible by making attachments, but sometimes you need attachments still. You need that form that people need to download, that org chart or that decision tree or that screen image of a screen error that your team is talking about. All those things are natural to put into your Confluence pages. And so here, this is an image, and this image you can add a caption to. You can resize as you need to. And you're also noticing that one of the features here is that it does have a word wrap option as well. So here it is within this paragraph, and the text is wrapping to the left. You can hyperlink it so that it can, when they click it, they can also go to that particular link. Alternate text, in other words, for those that are using screen readers, for those with visual issues, as they're reading the page with their computer rather than you can have alternate text that's on there. So images it handles really well. This is a PDF that it placed in there. And it not only allows you to see the PDF as a thumbnail, but if you're viewing this can scroll. Again, when I leave the edit mode, you'll see that I can actually scroll through this as well. There's a macro itself. The macros don't have to appear on the page. they can be listed as a list of available attachments anywhere else on your page. And so these were added to the page before, but then we'll use something called an attachments macro that allows the users to be able to download those things. Let me exit edit mode. By the way, you have a lot of power over as you're publishing with your with your pages. You can control it's a live publish, or you can even schedule a publish in Cloud. So you can say, okay, we're making changes to this policy, but it doesn't change until Monday, and so I want to go ahead and edit the page, but then use a scheduled release for Monday morning, so that people see the latest information at that point. So as I'm scrolling down, here's where we were with those in edit mode. Notice here is that, again, that embed, it's in a published mode, but I still have access to edit this page. I just think that's really powerful. Here's my attachments again. Here is that PDF macro, which allows me to see all of these. Notice I'm scrolling. And so for multiple pages, I can scroll through the pages from there. So it's almost like looking at a slide deck of some sort if you have it in a PDF format. Any other types of attachments that you have, whether it's a Google Doc or a Word doc or a PowerPoint file, if you've attached it to the page, what can display on your page is a thumbnail that allows them to view, and then they can download to edit if they want to, unlike a link, which is a link to the original source that's in there. And so that's using what's called the macro to show you the attachments that are on this particular page. And now that I've mentioned the word macro, let's talk about other macros. Oh, but first, I had mentioned this idea of what's called a smart link. In this case, a whole page is dedicated to that custom URL. And you can have lots of different connections to these things. This is for a video, but you could also do for anything that you have shared access to. So a Miro board or a Trello board or a Slack, any number of things. As long as your people have a connection to it, there's lots of things that you can display as its own separate page in the instance. This is a great way to drive people's work through a structure if you want them to. And so the placement of those is a great little tool from there. So that's called a smart link. Was turned on within the last year in cloud instances from there. But I mentioned the word macro, and macro can be kind of a scary word for some people that aren't necessarily programmers or work in software code or at all. And what Atlassian means by a macro is that these are tools that help you to format your content or to manage navigation of your content within your spaces. And then they've been adding a few things as well. When we start talking about Atlassian intelligence, they've now started to work with, while you're editing your pages, there are now macros that can help you with analyzing your content. And so great tools from there. But let's talk about some ones that are the most popular ones that we love to use all the time. Something called a panel macro. And the panel macro is a great tool for highlighting certain things, whether using their actual ones, the success, information, warning, note, or error, but that you can also use this as a background text color. You wouldn't have to use the emoji or the title of it. You could just use this for text, and it's a great alternative for if you don't need to purchase another formatting macro set for just having background text. You could use the panel macro to do that with you. So we use these a lot. Status macros. These are great, just buttons that are placed in there. You give it a name, and we use this for statuses on our reports. Where are we on this? We're on track. We're in development. We are deployed. Um, Another one of our favorite macros is called the expand macro, where you can place in there the title and then the contents from there. It's a great way to manage vertical scrolling space on your pages. Imagine you have several different policies that you need to reference on the same page. Well, you can place them there. You have the name of the policy, and then you click to expand to see those things. Or maybe your QA team has their whole QA process, and so they know what the major steps are, and then sometimes they need to see how that one particular step is completed. They might expand that to do that, but then once they have that memorized, they just know to move down to the next one. So a great tool for that. We use this on our engagement pages. We'll put perhaps the statement of work on there so that everyone knows, what is the nature of our work that we have with our clients from there. Things like navigation tools, like a table of contents, which respects your headings or other headings that you choose to use. Great for navigating because you can go right to that page. You can also grab the link to this and send that link to someone, and they'll be able to go directly to that. Not just the page, but the specific location of the page. Things like a page tree, you want people to see the entire contents of your space. What should they be looking for? And they can go, and then even the ability to search if they need to. Great for the cover page of your space itself. It's also useful for things like your knowledge base places. And there's lots and lots of other macros that we like to use when we're doing this. And so, by the way, we actually cover all of these things in a full 1-day hands-on Confluence bootcamp. And so I'm going through a lot of features very quickly. If you would like to see it, we actually have a Confluence bootcamp, and I'll show you where you can find access to that. But the biggest thing, so a lot of this is wiki editing. Great. You may have a tool that does a lot of these things. Where this really begins to become important to us is when the tool is now speaking to one of our other Jira Atlassian products, like say Jira. And the thing is it works great with Jira. First off, the linking itself is the ability to take a link from a Jira issue and paste it in here. Great tool. And it also then has not only that, but this is with the new embed option. This turned on just a few months ago. It's so I could look at a link to it. I can look at the card view of it if I'm in edit mode, or I can embed. I love this. You can embed a Jira issue onto your page, and if you have rights to view the project and you have rights to edit the issues in that project, you can actually make an edit to this from the Confluence issue. Great tool. Love this functionality. You can progress it on the workflow. So really cool. This is great for things like reports for your stakeholders. When you're showing the one or two things, or you want to show them the epic and then see all the child issues beneath it, you have that option in there. And then other great tools, by the way, you can create issues from a Confluence page very simply, selecting text and creating an issue. Just simply select text, and you can comment or even create an issue in that Jira project that you're connected to. And then other ways that this can be displayed. And this is where you're going to begin to see the value of Confluence as potentially being a reporting tool for your project teams, but certainly for your stakeholders when we talk about this. Because this is a couple of Jira macros. This one's called the filter results list. And it's based upon a search that was made in Jira. And then that search is copied and put into a Jira macro in Confluence. And so now you can see these issues. They are hyperlinked so that you can go and click and view them in the Jira instance itself. And then over on the right-hand side is the exact same search, but used into a Jira chart macro. and this one's the pie chart. You also have the two-dimensional. You have several other options that are in there. But great way to have not only the information, but also the visuals of that information so that you can, for those that understand information better when they have a visual with it, really does make a big difference. And there's other ones like this that we love to use in our pages to help people understand the work that they're viewing, the progress that they're reviewing, and the planning that they're making for the future from there. So that's a lot of functionality that we've reviewed, from basic editing to some more complex layout information to attachments to links. Um, um, Before I move on to the next page, I do want to show you other features, labeling. And labeling is a great tool for things like um, uh, your your uh, your KB articles, for your help portal. You manage how they surface on the help portal by how they're labeled, and so you can, a judicious use of labels can help manage that. And then before I move away, I did want to show you commenting is also available at the bottom of the page. So maybe you're not referring to a specific uh, bit of text, but the page overall. This is great for that information. When you decide to add a comment, you have the full editing toolbar that you had on the page itself. And so there's lots of things that you can add, including things like links, images, at mention, use emojis, insert tables, insert that info panel, which is, again, great for drawing the eye to other things that you're working at. And then several other macros that are on the available pages are also available as well, again, to make your comments visually interesting, to help drive the conversation about what this page is meant to be doing. I'm going to cancel that one. I think another couple of quick things I want to show you before I move on, how all this gets placed together. Because I have Jira links, there are links to 2 Jira issues in this. It lets me know that's in there. There's also, at the page itself, you can have a summary of the pages that's in there. There are several different elements that we can also do with the page, and there's some cloud features that are really cool with pages. And I think when I show you a couple of others, I'll show you some of those other features that we've taken advantage of in this. So here's all we've done so far. What would that look like then in an actual usage of an IT group working with, in our case, Valiantis, working with one of our clients? This is a typical client engagement page, and it's utilizing a lot of those features that I was showing you earlier. So first off, it broke down into a layout. And so on the left-hand side is just a simple table. There's a status button. On the right-hand side, this is a premium feature. Both Data Center Premium and Cloud Premium have something available called calendars, where you can create calendars. And how we use them with our engagements with our Valiantis clients is we'll have our project team placed on there, and we might want to notify them when we are going to be out of the office, or when important events are going to be happening. You can also put in, if you're a Scrum team, you can put sprints on here. You can also put a calendar of issues that are on there, release dates. And so it's a great little way for when your project team is going to come and report, just a monthly or weekly report. They can have a quick view of some important dates to keep in mind. As I scroll down here, again, if you have premium Jira, whether data center or cloud, you have something called advanced roadmaps, and you can put a roadmap plan, a link to it in your Confluence page for viewing. It's non-editable, but it does interact. You can actually expand those, uh, uh, expand your epics to see that someone, and then again, if you need to edit, you can click, it'll take you to the instance itself, but a great visual to see not only where you are, but what your planning is from there. Here again, using those filtered lists. So we're just showing you what has been completed this week. what is currently being in progress, what is in a to-do status that's on there. Very, very common for us to have that kind of reporting capabilities in our pages. Here is that panel macro, and then again another set of tools. These are an issue list of things that are marked by a certain label value. And then on the right-hand side is that same filter as a pie chart. Here is that attachment macro. So for previous reports, once we're finished with this meeting, we will go ahead and save it as a PDF and attach it so people need to see the stats, because all of these macros here are current. Every time you go to the page, it refreshes with whatever the latest information is from the Jira page, Jira project. So, but if you need to see where were we back then, that's where you can have that. Here is that statement of work option that we always can place at the page using that expand macro. What's the value of this? Well, we think that this makes this tool maybe the preferred location for your project reporting. Now, of course, your work is in Jira. That's where your project teams are. They're on their boards, or they're looking in their issues list, and they're resolving their issues from there. But when you're doing your reports and when you're having your weekly or monthly meetings with your stakeholders, this might be the better tool, because not only can you place the information in there, you also have the ability, this is just a table, to give a frame of reference, context, how to interpret this data as you're looking at it. And you can not only say, okay, here's what was done, here's why we got this much done this week, or why we were hindered. And you can give them that type of information that they need to know, along with the text around this and the visuals from there. And so this is your opportunity as a project team leads to be able to control the message, manage how you want your viewers to experience this. And that means gives you a lot of power to do that. And it's flexible. That's the other thing, is that when something needs to be altered, it's easy to do this. Now, of course, you do have Jira dashboards, but you don't have all that flexibility that you do here on a Confluence page, using all the features, layouts and tables and the different macros. And so that's what's nice about this. The attachment macros, the statement, the expand macros, all of those are in there. So because of all of that, you might hear us recommend that while the work is going to take place in Jira, and your teams are going to be using the Jira dashboards, honestly. But for your entire department or your reporting group or your project office, this is a great location for you to do your reporting on those from there. So again, that's kind of a quick look at all those things. I'm looking at my and then before I move on to another example, this is an IT example, very typical IT example for us. And that's the common expected use of Confluence, because it's connected to Jira. And Jira has been considered an IT tool up until lately. And that is, as other departments are starting to use not only Jira and then pair that with Confluence, this really becomes far more than just an IT tool. Certainly, it can be part of your ITSM or ESM solution. But as other groups are using this, they might be, I'll show you another example of how to do this. But before I jump off this, I do want to show you, this is a typical layout of one of our engagement spaces that we might have with a client. So on the top is the dashboard. And then we might have a list of meeting notes. Here, what we have then, this is using a macro, and there are dozens of macros, or not macros, dozens of templates that Confluence can make from a variety of different sources to help you for meeting notes, for decision trees, for 5 whys, all these different types of whatever if there's a process that you go through, I'm going to guess there's probably a template that they have that you can use. Or you can also create your templates. So you don't want to start with a blank page, terrific. then you can start with a template and then modify from there. And so this is the meeting notes template, and you create new ones. This shows you a summary page of what's happening. And then each individual meeting note that's working on there. We might have a contact list of who's who within the project and the customers, a risk register, solution documentation. If we're, in this case, talking about, well, okay, if we're working with you, what is it that we're working on? What is your current Jira configuration? What other apps are you working with in your Atlassian instance? And how are we integrating these things, whether by webhooks or APIs, et cetera? And then we might also, depending upon your practices, might lay out your agile elements, team roles, ceremonies, et cetera. So this is a typical way that we might organize our space. So you're seeing the page functionalities, but also a typical layout. But let me show you another use that's not IT. Instead, it is a marketing group. And this marketing group has the team homepage. And on this team homepage, this is actually another template, by the way, the Meet the Team template. But this is using a series of tables, and then these are panel macros that they've managed, and then just text and update page. That's a macro of latest updates. These are just links that they were added with emojis to highlight those things. There's a meet the team macro where you put not only you can list the people and it grabs their profile picture and their name if you wanted to do it that way. Here again, that calendar macro, and then several different resources that they use from in there. So that's their page itself. And then this department is built on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different project teams. And so the entire department gathers at this one space, and then the 5 different departments also have this. This is a page report or a space report of taking information from all of these different pages here and then combining them onto this summary page. But each of their own groups then have their own page, very similar to what you saw on the engagement page that we had with the IT project. And they can manage it their way from there. Again, they're using meeting notes just like we saw in the IT one. And then other ways to link to other elements. So what I'm about to show you next is, this is a Miro board. And maybe if you're using a whiteboard solution like Miro, we love Miro, by the way, that's in here. But I want to show you a new feature that just became active in a Confluence cloud instance. It's available to both standard and premium. There are a few extra bells and whistles that come with premium, and that is Confluence now comes with their own whiteboarding solution. And I haven't done much with this, but I just wanted you to see this. If you are into whiteboarding, this is a great place to do this without having to leave your Confluence instance. Or as you saw, you can also import using a smart link to the board that's from an external solution itself. Here's another one. This is a Trello board. And again, using the smart link, you can just place it in there. And again, as long as the viewers have access to it, you can put a Trello board in there. Trello is another Atlassian tool that we've seen lots of groups use just to simply manage it's a simple task board. I also have several of my colleagues that manage their life using this in their own personal Trello boards. And so another great tool from there. And then they've also used the linking embedding documents tool. And then if you only have view access, you'll see it. If you have edit access, you have the ability to not only view it, but to also edit. So, that's how this marketing group is using this, is that these are key documents that are actually don't live here. They live in their, wherever the document repository is, their Dropbox folder, their box.net, their SharePoint, their Teams, their Google, all those places. And so it's just, as long as the readers have access to view it, then they can view it on the page itself. Just a great tool. So I want to show you a couple of more cloud and premium options that are available to you. But I want to pause just for a moment and talk about our company, Valiantis itself. I had mentioned at the top of the hour that we are a Platinum Solutions partner. Means that we're at the highest tier in the Atlassian Partner Program, requiring that consultants have accreditations with Atlassian products, and we all pursue and try to maintain our Atlassian certified professional status, so that you know that when you're working with us, you're going to get people that have worked with the product and have proven themselves with Atlassian to do so as well. What do we do? Well, we can consult. If you are looking at licensing of Atlassian products, we have a great team that does just that. Or if you've already got your licenses and you just need help configuring, monitoring, setting up, integrating with other tools, migrating, we do a lot of those things. It's a lot of our work itself. And we even have an option of managing your instance if that would be of use to you as well. My focus, I love to talk about, is training. We offer a lot of training, like you're seeing here, every Thursday at 11 a.m. Central Time. We offer a 1-hour webinar focusing on a variety of topics. And hopefully that's how you found us here. But there's several topics that we like to talk about, whether it's about features of JSM, whether it's portfolio management, whether it's other updates to things. We have a lot of those that are on here as far as upcoming classes. And so I encourage you to go to this site to see what's available. You may have found this one here. I do want to tell you that coming up in a couple of weeks is that 1-day boot camp class on Jira, on Confluence. It is following a 3-day boot camp on Jira, which is a really deep dive into administrating a Jira instance. We offer these about every 6 weeks or so. And so if you can't make this one, still time to be able to sign into this one. But if you have interest in one of those things, please consider that. Another great one is a Jira Align Bootcamp. We also do one for Jira Service Management Bootcamp, Jira Governance, or Atlassian Governance. We're offering a lot of helpful tools, we think, training opportunities that many of them are hands-on and allow you to get into that. So, and then just to let you know, Valiantis is a global company. So I'm part of Valiantis North America, but we have EMEA, we have Asia, APAC. We're in both hemispheres. We're all over the place. And so if your organization is in other time zones, we can probably accommodate that as well, and be happy to do so with a consulting opportunity. We also have a team of full stack developers that can create that solution for you if you need to. If you need that webhook or that API between another tool that you have in your environment that needs to talk to your Atlassian products, we have a team that's developed several award-winning products that are even available in the marketplace now to help that happen, or even special visualizations of existing content that we've also been successful in doing that as well. If that is of interest to you, you can reach out to our contact page of Valiantis, and someone will gladly get back to you. Or if you just want to have a conversation, if this has been intriguing to you at all about the possibility of just seeing what could work with us, you have an Atlassian instance. Now you'd like to know how you could take the fullest advantage of it. We'd love to have that initial conversation with you, and having that, just using that contact button, can do so from there. Now I want to talk about a couple of remaining tools that are available to, they've been recently updated within the last year or so. A couple of these you saw, like the whiteboards, now became standard just in like June of this year. Another one just recently got turned on, and that's something called databases. What a database can do, it's like a table, but it's very powerful because you can create all kinds of links or updates to this particular one. And what I've done here is this is a database of a Jira project. And so it just got connected to the Jira project. And so you're seeing the issue type, the summary, assignee project, etc. You can add additional fields, and there's a lot of fields that you can add in here. That's on here. And then this one's pretty basic, but what I love about it is that it's not, you can not only take a look at this, but you can also, if I scroll down to the bottom of this, add new entries. So this is kind of like that Jira Issues macro, but a little bit more powerful, I think. And that is the ability to see those things. There's several other ways to do this. I'm still kind of exploring it, to be honest with you, but it's a powerful tool, and I'm trying to find ways to take advantage of this. Again, this is a cloud premium feature that's available to you from there. There's another feature that's available in cloud premium, and that is automation. They began to introduce automation rules about a year ago, but now they've gotten really robust with the idea of how this might, how you might use these. Now, some of you, if you're in Jira projects, you know how to use Jira project automation to perform those uh, those repetitive tasks that you need, whether it was notifications or reassigning or creating subtasks, other kinds of things that you can do with an automation rule. Well, in Confluence, there are also things that you do. What are some repetitive tasks that you could take advantage of? Things like uh, when something moves into, you're using labels. This is a great way to manage labels. I don't know if you've worked with labels in Confluence or Jira. They're not easy to manage. Well, now they've got automation rules that could potentially do that. Replace the label that's on there. Change the owner when somebody's account is deactivated, or um, um, archive. This is another governance feature to help you archive pages from there. Another one, and again, I'm not going to go into much more detail on this, other than things like, here's one: you have a recurring meeting once a week. At Thursdays at 11 is your recurring meeting. Well, you could create a rule that Confluence will automatically generate your meeting notes page prior to your meeting. Again, so repetitive tasks, great things. There's a lot of new options. This list keeps growing every time I come back to this page, every month or so. And then there's another great community of the Confluence automation library that would take you to the Jira pages, to Atlassian's instance. And there's lots of people experimenting with this. So very powerful tool to help you play with those things. The last thing I want to do is show you, and I'm jumping over to another instance, and that is there is uh, Atlassian Intelligence, AI. And Atlassian Intelligence is being used a couple of ways in Confluence. The first tool is, first off, your org admin has to enable it in the instance, but what can you do with this? Well, I think one of the more powerful tools is that the summarize, is that it is reviewing your pages, and then if you need a quick summary, especially if it's a lengthy document, you could get that summary that's on there. You can also be using automation to generate automation, or AI to generate automation rules. Again, Atlassian is experimenting with this some. I will say it's still kind of early in the development, but it is getting there. We're using natural language instead of using the trigger condition action steps of a automation rule. You just simply type what you want it to do, and it'll start to build the rule for you. So really, really powerful information that's on there. Um, So I've talked a lot. I've covered a lot of information, but I do want to briefly talk about governance, and only to just introduce the concept to you, because this can do a lot. There's really nothing keeping you from making this to be a mess. And so when looking at a tool like this, I know I've been showing you a lot of things, but the reality is when we talk with our clients, what we say is, well before you start working in the tool is a whiteboard discussion about how you're going to work with the tool. And so there's lots of things to talk about as far as to avoid the idea of confusion, to avoid the idea of information being in multiple locations and disparate. Um, Things like naming conventions, things like managing the number of space administrators, things like managing how content is going to be procured, naming conventions for searching capabilities, lots of those things. You'll want to have that determined ahead of time. And so the two main focuses are you're trying to standardize the information, and then you're trying to manage the permissions to the information. Um, and a full discussions can be had about that. And the reality is that your answer may not be the same answer as ours, but we want to help you find your consistent answer. And so if we can help you, we'll do that. So governance is a very important element of how you use really any IT tool, but certainly Confluence and Jira and your other Atlassian tools. Um, and so we love having that conversation with you if we potentially can. All right, I have said a lot. And so what I want to do now is just see if potentially there are any questions that are on this. Let me go into the Q&A. There's a couple of questions about uh, um, is this recorded? Yes, it is. You heard it when I said it's recorded. And this will go on our YouTube channel. And so you will be able to come back to it later. I highly recommend our YouTube channel. We produce a lot of content. And it's not just webinars, it's other things. What will happen is one of our consultants will be working something and discover a new feature they hadn't seen before. And they'll say, hey, that's cool. And they'll go into it and they'll shoot a video and they'll place it on um, on our YouTube page. So great stuff here. There's lots of really cool stuff here, and it's from people all around the globe that contribute to these things. And so you'll find this. But yes, this particular one will also be available to you. Great to hear about. You're interested in perhaps the other weekly ones. We're pushing the time. I wanted to see if there's other things. I know I was a little scattered, and it's mostly because these new features have come in. I'm trying to figure out the best way to organize the presentation of them. But I also don't want you to miss seeing them, because this is what makes Confluence Cloud interesting. And it also makes Confluence Cloud Premium potentially more useful as you're in there. There's other things. There's analytics that come with that, allow you to view the page hits of your instances. And I'm sure I've missed out on a few things that I haven't covered in there. Your pages, you can manage space permissions, so that this is actually a public facing page, like our curriculum pages. So you can manage not only pages that are only your community, only license holders, but what gets seen by public. Or if in talking about your knowledge base for your help portal, anyone that's in your customer group and on your admin side, does not require a license for either Jira or for Confluence to be able to see those articles. And that's managed through permissions of what's made public. So um, I think I'm going to wrap it up now. I know, again, I hope this has been helpful to you. Uh, and hopefully, even further than that, I hope it encourages a conversation with your organization in Valiantis. If you need to take your stakeholders and steer them toward a particular video on the YouTube channel, that's one of the other reasons why it's there. You'll see some things like governance topics, um, uh, portfolio management, um, some of our thoughts on things instead of just a tool, because we really want to be a full consulting company, not just a Atlassian product consulting, because how it fits in your organization. Well, you have other products as well. So again, gosh, thanks for joining me. I hope this has been helpful. I hope this might spur future conversations. Again, my name is Tony Hartsfield, and you have just spent the hour with me on an introduction to Confluence Cloud, and I hope to see you at future webinars. Thanks again for joining us.